It's Talk Funny, a podcast by Mark Bailey and other comics from all over. We ended up in Japan because you can be a small fish in a big pond or a big fish in a small pond, or you can come to Japan and torture both fish from both ponds while they struggle alive on your dinner table as you eat them. The Talk Funny podcast from Nagoyaradio.com and Nagoyacomedy. Here's Mark Bailey.
We're back with another edition of Talk Funny. I'm Mark Bailey. We're here with fellow comic Steve Howard.
Hello.
We were talking off mic about some of our stories about dealing with police. Like if you ever lose your wallet or something, your Japanese spouse will tell you immediately, well, you have to go to the police to report this. Yeah. So I did. And they said, where did you lose it exactly? I'm like, if I knew exactly, then I wouldn't. And they said, but what area? Because you have to go to the Koban, the police station closest to that area. Yeah. Went to the police, and they said, tell us how much money was in that. And I said, about 14,000 yen, maybe, between 10 and 14. And they said, well, which is it? Well, if I have my wallet, I can open up and account it for you. You don't know how much was in it when you lost it? Do you understand what lose means? And so I don't remember exactly. And then they said, how do we know that you actually don't have your wallet? And they said, well, I keep it in this pocket. As you can see, the pocket is empty. You want to look at my bag? And there's no wallet. They were grilling me. And then she goes, hang on a second. And they had another guy ask me the same questions.
Jeez.
And he goes, you gave the same answers the first time. And I said, yeah, that's the truth. And then look at me and they said, so what were you doing at Kurokawa? And I said, I went down to do a private lesson. He goes, maybe you could retrace your steps. And I said, yeah, I tried that. And he goes, well, you obviously didn't do it correctly, because if you'd retraced correctly. And I said, yeah, but maybe somebody could have picked it up. Yeah. And he goes, well, if they had picked it up, they would have turned it in. And I said, not necessarily. Bromisu, if one of those guys found it, you know. Yeah. And so basically, I left feeling like crap because they weren't helping me at all. Right. And they said, if you find it, let us know. And I said, actually, I was hoping if someone else found it, you'd let me know. Right. That's why I came to the police station. It was a total nightmare. Yeah. Then my wife said, well, it must not have been a Japanese person that found it, otherwise it would have been turned in. Okay. Yeah, sure. I think there was some theft in a place called Nanjing one time, and I think some of those people might have been from Japan. I think they were called Imperial Soldiers. Ransack, I think that's a form of theft. Right. Rape, I think that's kind of a violent form of theft. Murder, that's the ultimate theft. So, yeah, I think Japanese are actually capable of crime. Remember the huge crime wave that happened after you landed, Steve? Yeah. Immediately, as soon as I got here, I called up Henry Hill and I said, the place is wide open, man. There's no mob. There's no Yakuza here.
Well, what was the, was it last year or 2 years ago? Was it in Kawasaki? The police found this guy, Japanese guy, that had 9 heads of people that he had murdered in his apartment. Yeah, Japan's a, crime-free and safe country.
Yeah, so I don't trust the police because they always just kind of turn it on you. Yeah. And when I was first dating, this should have told me a lot, but when I was first dating my wife, she had a detective follow me because she thought I was cheating. And so I found out about the detective, and I went to the cops. She's got a detective on me. And the cops said, well, why is she doing that? And I said, well, she thinks I have another girlfriend. And they said, well, how many girls did you date before you dated her? And I said, I'm counting. And I said something like 21 or 22, and they said, well, you're a playboy, so that's why she's tracking you. So I said, so it's my fault I'm being stalked. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
I'm not doing it to complain about the justice system. I'm just saying be wary, because if you're going to get divorced or you try to have an issue where you're trying to commit a family member, if that person's Japanese, you're probably not going to be successful. It's going to be turned back on you every time. When the $40,000 was embezzled from me, and I had so many people at the radio station say, you're in Japan, this isn't the U.S. Yeah, I'm pretty sure embezzlement is like illegal all over the world. This isn't New York. I didn't say it was. Thanks, Captain Obvious. I know where I am. Can we continue talking about the topic? Did you have any other experiences with police or
I was going to mention, then there's the occasional foreigners that I think we both knew. This one guy got into fist fights and stuff all the time and had all kinds of crazy drunken addicts, and we listen to these stories and we're like, how is this guy not in jail? And I knew another Australian guy, the same thing. I was like, well, what is it? Why are those guys immune? Because if I did anything near the level that they did, I'd probably be in prison right now.
The guy who I hired him to do weddings here a long time ago, and he was telling a story about when he worked at an Eikaiwa, but it was run by a Yakuza guy. Yeah. And he said the Yakuza guy would call up students and harass them at 3 o'clock in the morning, because that's when he was up. He's up and smoking and calling the students. And he would call up, we'll call this guy Jay.
Yeah.
He would call Jay at like 4 a.m. and go, hey, you mind going over to this girl's house and just scaring her? Like, why? Because she's not coming to English class. He's like, well, I'm her English teacher, so she might actually report me. He's like, don't worry about the cops. They already know about it. It's like, why isn't this guy in jail?
Yeah.
And then one of his stories is he told me when he quit, he pushed his boss's assistant through some plate glass or something.
Oh, jeez.
And I said, weren't you afraid? Don't they know where you live? He goes, yeah, they knew exactly. I mean, they were paying for the apartment. They knew where I live. I said, you weren't afraid? He goes, I was just mad and I was a little drunk. And I said, what happened from that? He goes, nothing. He goes, I went back and I worked there for a couple more weeks, And then another one where he was riding a motorcycle. It crashed into a ramen shop. He jumped off of it and it crashed into a ramen shop. So he went in and took the tag off and went home and went to bed. And no cop was knocking at his door. So what do you guys have? The invisible cloak?
Well, I was talking to another foreign guy last week, and he was telling me a story when he first came to Japan, and they had an apartment. They had a party in his apartment on like the 12th floor or something, and one thing led to another, and his couch caught on fire, and they just threw it off the balcony, and it dropped 12 stories onto the sidewalk. And next morning, nothing, no cops, no report, anything, nothing.
Back when I first came here, it was really wonderful back when they had the Sodai garbage, large item garbage. And I was in a very affluent area in Fujigaoka, and they would throw out just perfectly good couches, brand new TVs, stereo systems. I found a family of 5 in the garbage once. It was just amazing. And
they had a scratch on them.
All of us foreigners were just furnishing these tiny apartments that we had with all this amazing furniture, I think maybe all the things that Jay did, we have to pay for now, all of his sins. So this has been Talk Funny, and we've been here with Steve Howard. I'm Mark Bailey. We'll talk to you next time.